Long endurance rides are great for training, until they start breaking you down, of course. If you've ever felt wiped out after a 3 to 4 hour ride, well, there's a clear reason for that. Today, I'll be explaining what's happening behind the scenes in your muscles when you go riding long without fuel. We're talking about the glucose-alanine cycle, also the Cahill cycle, and why ignoring protein could be sabotaging your recovery. Cloudy day here in San Diego. That's Mount Soledad. We were up that last week. That kind of sucked. Let's go. As I train for my 50-mile cancer ride this summer, most of my rides are under 2 hours, and that's by design. Rides under 2 hours usually preserve your hormones and lets you recover faster. But once a month, I push it further, 3, maybe 4 hours, to mimic the real event. Now, why not go long every week? It's because rides over 2 hours can strain your system. Over time, that leads to overreaching and your hormones drop. Think the recovery hormones, growth hormone, thyroid hormone, testosterone. And that puts you at risk for overtraining syndrome and chronic fatigue. We don't want that. When glycogen runs low, your body gets desperate, or creative, depending on how you think of it. One of its go-to backup plans is the glucose-alanine cycle. That's where your muscles break down proteins into amino acids, especially alanine, and ship them off to the liver, which turns them into glucose. It's kind of like your muscles texting the liver, "Hey, we're starving. Here, eat part of us and make sugar." Yeah, that's right. Your body starts eating itself. We're talking low-grade self-cannibalism, biochemistry style. Not quite zombie apocalypse, but it's definitely you're the snack. So what's actually happening in this process? When muscles degrade amino acids for energy, the nitrogen gets transaminated to pyruvate to form alanine. That alanine gets shuttled to the liver. The nitrogen gets sent back into the urea cycle, and the liver takes pyruvate and converts it into glucose and send it back to feed your hungry muscles. Now, when you think about it, it sounds efficient, except you're literally burning muscle for fuel, and it's actually not very productive. In fact, it's less so than the Cori cycle, which uses lactate, since energy production from alanine produces urea, and the removal of urea requires 3 ATP and 1 AMP. Translation, that protein you worked so hard to build, it's being turned into sugar to keep you pedaling. So while the glucose-alanine cycle is helpful, it's also a signal that your body is struggling to keep up. And that's exactly when you need to step in with the right nutrition, including, well, protein. Now, endurance athletes are great about carbs, but protein, not as much. And yet, when your ride goes past that 2-hour mark, a little protein intake can reduce muscle breakdown, spare lean body mass, improve your recovery hormone response, and support long-term training consistency. That's why I include protein in my fueling plan on longer rides, especially if I pass that 2-hour mark. About 0.3 grams per kilogram immediately prior to exercise if I know I'm pushing it, and 0.25 grams per kilogram per hour if it's a very high intensity, long duration, or lots of eccentric or eccentric exercise. In fact, next week I'll be in the kitchen showing you how to make your own science-backed endurance drink, carbs, protein, electrolytes, all from stuff you already have at home. And spoiler alert, it's way cheaper than Gatorade or the other products. In fact, it's exactly what's in here, and your muscles will thank you. So remember, the glucose-alanine cycle helps your body survive long rides, but at a cost. Protect your muscles, support your recovery, and train smarter by fueling right, not just long. So if this helped connect the dots and make a little sense, that's great. Please share it with someone who's skipping protein during their endurance rides. Their muscles will be very happy. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.